Good evening, late evening. I want to thank the folks from Hartford Parking Authority on two fronts, or actually maybe three. First off, for the work that you do on behalf of the City of Hartford. Secondly, I want to thank you for agreeing to change your schedule earlier, to come in early, to make it more convenient for us during the rest of the week. Greatly appreciate that. You didn't have to do it, so we are appreciative of it. I lost my train of thought. Shows you how late it is. So with that said, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, council. My name's Patty Lashane. I'm the appointed chairperson of the Parking Authority, thanks to your endorsement of my nomination. I started out as the treasurer and now serve as the chairperson. There are 5 of us, as you know, and on behalf of them, we thank you for the opportunity to be here. It's always an eventful year at the Parking Authority. I think this year we come with some good news and some good vision on how we can once again recreate the Parking Authority and provide to both motorists, visitors, and employees, employers a safe and affordable parking option for Hartford. We're going to be really short. As an enterprise fund, our goal is to financially contribute to the city's budget through our net revenues. We try to balance that goal with being a positive factor for those who come to work, be entertained here, enjoy the many historical and cultural venues, and our restaurants on top of that. In a nutshell, we're your place for a space, and we hope to work with Hartford to make Hartford the place to be. So with that, Eric and Mike will walk through our presentation. So thank you.
Thank you, Patty. This is Michael DeRoche. He's my Director of Finance Administration. He'll be here to support as needed. I will move through these slides as quickly as you would like me to, seeing the time, and so please feel free to have me slow down and stop to ask questions if needed. The Hartford Park Authority's mission is to meet the needs of its customers citywide by consistently providing clean, safe, accessible parking both on and off street. HPA strives to be a leader by incorporating parking industry best practices and is an active partner with the city to promote economic and community development. Our organization, we have a small staff. Right now we currently have 6 individuals, including myself. All the rest of our responsibilities are subbed out to various contractors. Our authority origins sponsor from the state, both through a authority statute as well as through the CERTA statute, which is Chapter 588. Further, we are, our origins come from Chapter 10 and 22 of the Municipal Code. Our off-street garages have, well, possibly a Friday, we'll have reduced by another 1. So currently we have the Matt Garage and the Hartford Public Library deck. Our off-street surface lots, this fiscal year we took over 6 lots. There are the Sheldon main and auxiliary lot, which we will talk about further. There's also the Dono lots, which are currently managing while they're waiting for development with the stadium development. On-street parking, we have 258 multi-space meters as well as 375 single-space meters, which it totals about 1,800 spaces. We manage the valet permitting for the city as well as noticing and collections. We also, this year, rolled out our neighborhood initiatives with the residential parking permits. Our vision is to enhance our commitment to HPA's mission by making parking in both the neighborhoods and downtown convenient, consistent, and intuitive. No one comes to downtown to park. When they come to downtown, it should be convenient to find and to access. It should be consistent. It doesn't matter where you go, it should be a very similar experience, and it should be intuitive. It shouldn't be the first thing on your mind when you come to the city is, oh my God, where do I park and how do I park? It should just be a matter of course. We utilize technology and improved maintenance techniques to restore civic pride in our infrastructure. And we're also, our vision is to strategically plan and leverage parking options for economic development and quality of motorist experience. We are working with the city mayor's office and with development services to strategically plan parking for the future. I'd like to quickly go through our achievements this fiscal year. The residential parking permit program, by the end of July, we'll have rolled out into 7 neighborhoods. That'll affect about 800 residents. Those 800 residents will regain 48,000 combined hours of personal time due to this program. We'll eliminate 438,000 miles driven while looking for parking, which equates to about 25,000 gallons of gasoline and 227 tons of greenhouse gas being reduced annually. We converted the main lot of City Hall, known as 141 Sheldon Street, to both municipal and public parking for monthly and transient parkers. You may have seen that we installed a control gate, lighting, and striping to create a more efficient lot. We did a joint effort with the library on the IT to support that gate. The AT&T communications vendor wanted $18,000 to trench a DSL line to the facility. We're able to do point-to-point Wi-Fi off the library's roof. That's how it communicates, at a savings of $18,000. We provide the lowest cost hourly parking within downtown on a surface lot. We also have first-of-a-kind pricing structure to incentivize patrons to stay and enjoy downtown. We distributed the hourly payment structure so that hours 3 and 4 are free. So you come to downtown for your business, but then you are emotionally incentivized to stay because you have free parking to go to a restaurant or go shopping or do something else downtown or in Syscon. This is something that New Haven has looked into, and they're starting to apply in their properties. This lot, now that we've opened it up, is proving to be a fundamental resource during the MDC, Yukon, and Travelers construction projects. They've been approaching me to utilize the property in various ways. And this fiscal year, we've generated $61,000 in net revenues in 10 months. It costs about $98,000 a year to maintain that lot. So we're hoping for next year we'll be at least revenue neutral. Not bad for a lot that's 3/4 municipal employees. This year we completed a $1.3 million multi-deck repair to the Mac Garage. I'll spare you the aspects. However, it was very extensive, and it was something that needed to be done as per our life cycle management. Downtown North surface lots, we seamlessly assumed the management of the lots without any disruption to corporate clients. We value engineered the improvements to address the physical conditions of the properties, a big part of that being the habitability for the staff that was there. As you can see, we installed new facilities for them. They are mobile facilities, so they're essentially customized sheds with heat and electricity, so they can be picked up and moved as shots are shut down. Our lots are shut down. We can just pick it up and rewire it somewhere else. We've continually coordinated with the city and with the utilities to provide safe facilities during the Trumbull Street relocation, which is in the middle of one of the lots. We've increased utilization from 80% capacity when we showed up to, at the end of this month, we should be at 100 or over 100% capacity. And we're going to continue to coordinate with the clients to support the transition plan as the lots are developed. One of our achievements with the customers is that we started commencing striping of the on-street parking to provide a visual guide for parkers. That's been a major complaint of where do we park? Is it legal? I can't read the signs, but if you see a stall, it's a pretty good chance that it is legal. We've implemented first of our 4 planned 30-minute drop-off and pickup locations. Right now, a loading zone is only for commercial plates. So if somebody has a regular plate, they cannot use that for drop-off and pickup. So we are adding these throughout the city to support various businesses and organizations. We continue to actively engage residents and customers through social media to address concerns, answer questions, and solicit feedback. One of our latest projects through social media was to figure out what to do with the fencing around 141 Sheldon, and we got a litany of ideas that were excellent, and we're actually going to combine 2 of them and propose it to our board to implement. Outstanding citations. We had an amnesty program where we collected $42,000 in preparation for the boot program. It was not as fruitful as we thought it would be financially. However, it was well covered on the media and got the word out, I think, above and beyond anything we ever expected. The booting program increased our average monthly collections by $6,500, so $78,000 annually. We've increased our scofflaw mobilization success from 1 out of 2 to nearly 100%. So that is when our staff identifies a scofflaw, the ability to actually capture that scofflaw went from 48% to actually above 99%. Subsequent towing of the boots is only at 8%, so people are paying and not getting the subsequent tow. We have saved motorists $35,000 to date in tow fees. So by booting, we've saved them the fee that the tow truck drivers charge, as well as the impound fees. We've also reduced our towing related expenses by $21,000. As the boot, each boot with the boot and the lock is approximately $700.
Oh, that's your cost. How much does it cost the motorist?
0 at this point.
For now.
For now. Let me go a couple slides and it's going to go up. The outstanding citations, as you may know, on our balance sheet, we have $20 million in outstanding citations. We've spent a lot of time analyzing this. The database was so huge, Excel and Access could not handle it. We had to find different software. After a couple months of searching, we were able to find some. And we were able to establish that of the 20 million, 1.6 million of the citations were inherited with insufficient supporting documentation, otherwise errant in nature. We took over the program in 2006. These citations go back as far as 1996. About $150,000 worth of citations were not properly noticed and penalties were improperly assessed. That was when we transitioned from our previous on-street vendor to this current on-street vendor. Once they were notified they did not win the contract, they stopped noticing. And that was not identified until after the new vendor came in. There were $60,000 that were written against stolen vehicles, and there's approximately $10 million worth of citations that have a low probability of collection. This is namely due to age, motorist inactivity, or they're out-of-states recipients. Of the 20 million, we've established that approximately 8.25 million of citations have a reasonable likelihood of collections, and it's something that we are going to pursue. We've further analyzed the market for potential sale of the $10.3 million worth of low potential citations, and I'll speak about that in a second. 2015-16 initiatives. We've established that the $10.3 million of uncollectible citations, there is no market for it. We put out an RFQ to solicit price points, and we received 0 from responses. So therefore, we recommend writing off the citations in accordance with Gatsby. That will require a resolution through the council, which will come as a part of this budget package. We will still pursue efforts to collect those citations as appropriate. So just because it comes off the books does not mean it's not collectible. Our efforts should still stop. So there's no mulligans on these. Further believe that the citations that are errant or incomplete, as well as those generated from stolen vehicles, should be written off in accordance with Gatsby, and we should cease any collection efforts on those. In January, Council approved a resolution for HPA to lease space at 100 Allen Street. Unfortunately, HPA and the landlord are unable to reach a final agreement. Therefore, HPA is executing its backup planning and will come before Council in the near future with a new lease resolution with a promise that the financial terms will not exceed that which was presented to you for 100 Allen. As a result of research and analysis, with council approval, we are also proposing initiatives that can provide additional $590,000 in operating income above what our current baseline is. HPA specifically did not consider rate or base fine increase initiatives in order to prevent negatively impacting consumer and visitors. HPA focuses initiatives on items that we are currently in development to create operational efficiencies and improve motorist accountability with respect to HPA's goal of a customer-focused, more efficient on-street program. And I will go through this this chart, and then I will, with your permission, skip the details and allow questions if you would want. One is a meter non-payment fine. Right now, there's no enforcement difference between not paying the meter and going over the meter. We believe that those are two different intents, and they should be reflected appropriately. One is a double occupancy fine. Now that we've striped the streets, there are individuals that choose to occupy 2 spaces, and that is just defeats the purpose of having the single stalls.
If I could just interrupt real quick right there. What about some people that park poorly? I mean,
Say again?
Sometimes people park poorly. I mean, the spaces are closed sometimes. I mean, there's one obvious that's parking in the middle of 2 spaces. What if guys parked in a space, but he's kind of backed into the second space? Does that qualify as?
There are standard regulations that we would adopt through, various municipalities that kind of give you a little bit of a wiggle. Traditionally, it's about a foot is the most you can go over. Some are if you break a plane. I don't think we would be that rigid. But there's also concerns about snow and sand. What if the marks are obscured? So we would have regulations to address those before we would pursue them.
That one right there would be subject to the fine?
Correct. Because that vehicle is probably about 2.5 feet to the other space. The vehicle on the top is just blatant. He actually took up 3 spaces. But the vehicle on the bottom is a common problem, and that creates inefficiencies within the system. So in a system where there's only 2 cars on a whole block, that's fine. When it's a place that's very popular, like along Pratt Street, that's a big issue for the businesses within that street.
And it's important to understand all these require we have to bring the proposal back to you with some ordinance changes.
Yes.
So the idea was we would roll out some things we think can generate additional revenue. Then we'll have to work cooperatively to get those ordinances changed and amended at the right time.
Understood.
Correct. All of these will have ordinance modifications that will come with the budget package. A booting fee. Now that we've gone through the booting process for a number of months, we found that it is a significant amount of additional labor to both put on the boot and then to go back out and take the boot off. People tend to pay very rapidly, which creates a give and take. So we researched it and looked at what the municipalities do and recommend a $75 boot fee, which is still $125 less than a tow fee. Citation penalty increase. I'll also get to. Right now, late penalties are assessed at days 30 and days 45. These penalties have not been increased since we've used a collection agency, which is commission-based. Their commission ranges anywhere from between 30 to 50% of the total citation value, and therefore we feel that it's appropriate to, if we have to go collect it, to recoup that for the city. Reduce the scofflaw threshold. Right now, Hartford and Danbury have the most lenient scofflaw policy in the state at 5 overdue citations. All other municipalities that do scofflaw practices are significantly lower. We recommend lowering the scofflaw threshold to better align with most Connecticut cities. The proposal will to lower the boot to the issuance of the 3rd citation if you have 2 overdue citations, or if we are looking at if you currently have 3 overdue citations as of today. The thought of, we'll say, catch and release, where we have somebody, we issue them a citation, then we have to wait 120 days for them not to pay when they already have 2 outstanding citations, is an inefficiency in our operations. We feel that it's appropriate to do this. It is in alignment with other municipalities. Most municipalities have a dollar value of $200, but depending on how that breaks out, that could actually get somebody on the second citation in the city of Hartford, so that's why we based it on a number as opposed to a dollar value. We recommend that it be obviously a public notification and communications, and also an amnesty program to kind of give people a chance to come clean before the booting starts. Alliance scofflaws to the registrant. This is a little abstract, so stick with me for a second while I get to the next slide. The current city policy defines a scofflaw as based on a vehicle, not a person. This allows for a large loophole where a person can have many more than 5 citations and still not be considered a scofflaw. This also prohibits the collection of some outstanding citations. Our proposal is to base scofflaw status on the registrant, not the vehicle. As an example, this is an actual example. We've, masked the personal information. However, this individual has 3 license plates under their name. They have 32 citations on record, 21 of which are unpaid. The total outstanding value is just shy of $2,000. As you can see, that the individual re-registered their vehicle, same vehicle, just got a new plate for it. It cost about $200. And they no longer own their first vehicle. Due to the fact that the vehicle is the scofflaw status, if they no longer own the vehicle, or if the plate is no longer assigned to that vehicle, we cannot boot the vehicle. So we booted this individual, and we could only collect 9 tickets. 11 tickets. We could not collect all 32. We had to release the vehicle under the current statute. Current ordinance. Therefore, that is no longer, we cannot collect that. Unless that person comes in to pay voluntarily, there's nothing we can do to collect that debt. Tax collection. HPA scofflaw searching tools can easily incorporate the data on overdue vehicle taxes. This is something that is done in New Haven and also in Springfield, Massachusetts. HPA can easily incorporate overdue vehicle taxes into its booting towing program, and it's just a matter of adding working with the tax collector and adding a list and keeping that list updated. And so when we search for one list, we can search for another list. That the proposals provide HPA with the authority to collect overdue vehicle taxes through on-street operations and coordination with the tax collector's office.
Question, what about people who have trouble paying their taxes but still want to be able to use their car to go to work and what have you? Do you work out payment plans? Usually with a boot, let me finish, usually with a boot, the car is locked up and he can't move, and therefore they can't use the money, which, I want to collect the money, but at the same time, I want to do it in a way that's productive for them and for the city. Booting the car, taking it out of operation for non-payment of vehicle taxes. I
understand, and that's a concern of ours, and we don't want to be the tax collector. However, we are lending our services to help the tax collector's efforts. The tax collector would provide us the list. So if the tax collector has somebody on a payment plan, they would not be on the list if they're keeping up with the payment plan. It will only be those who the tax collector is pursuing other efforts to collect past due.
No, I get you. I'm more concerned about when we first put the boot on and the payment plan hasn't been set up yet.
They should not, it all depends on the logistics. It's something that would have to be worked out. That's why it's in concert with the tax collector. We would be a tool of the tax collector, not necessarily an independent entity collecting. That the tax collector would provide us a list, and that list, he would define the threshold of when they can put on the list or not, and that would obviously be through the mayor's office and through council. So after X number of days, or whatever the criteria is, we would then get those who meet that criteria, and that would go into our system. So if there was a concern about those who are delinquent, I guess the question would be how delinquent is enough to where you apply the boot. So if it's something that's 6 months delinquent, is that the threshold, or 9 months? It's we're offering an opportunity to utilize our resource to help collect past due taxes at whatever threshold council and the mayor's office agrees to.
Also maybe an opportunity to put that person on a payment plan, because right now they're not identifiable, and with the software that we use for ticket citations, they would be identifiable, and that could be by choice of the ordinance or regulation that they first, that's what happens. We identify them and they go on a payment plan. So there are some options, and I will say that it was controversial among the commissioners, and there was some pushback, but we felt at least start the dialogue on it and see where the council wanted to go, because again, we don't have the authority to do that unless you approve an ordinance to go forward, but we figured it was important to bring to your attention.
Thank you. Yeah, that, obviously I know that it all has to come before us anyway, but yeah, we'd have to see, have discussions about that. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I'm sorry, you said that it would have to come before council for an ordinance. Are you talking about an ordinance to remove the boot and enter into a payment plan, or an ordinance to put the boot on the car? Because it was my understanding that you could boot the car without council's approval.
I can boot the car for delinquent citations, parking citations. I cannot boot a car for delinquent taxes. So the ordinance ought to be amended to allow us to boot for both parking citations and delinquent taxes.
It would have to expand and also outline some of the things, like now with the citation, there's a certain, as Eric had described earlier, a certain number of citations. Well, on your tax payment, it's not like, well, you didn't pay it for 3 years, it's like you owe it. So those things would all have to be detailed in whatever ordinance was brought before you.
And my question, sorry, just if someone agreed, if someone's car was booted, they needed to get to work, they have children, they need to get to daycare, can they agree to a payment plan with the parking authority and get the car unbooted?
I would say that's up for discussion. I would think that would have to go through the tax collector's office because it's his debt. But I'd say it's any of the logistics, Councilwoman, are up for discussion. We're just leveraging a tool.
So, I'm sorry,
We're
so now
beginning
it
the
means
discussion
no.
phase, so I mean, we'll get into the details, but yeah, I'm sorry, go
Okay.
ahead.
All right. So, no, I'm just saying, I've seen boots on cars. Does that mean people can't get their car unbooted right now? They just keep them on until they pay all the tickets?
The boot goes on specifically for parking citations. The boot comes on and stays on for a minimum of 24 hours, and that provides them time to pay. And after 24 hours, they get picked up on the next tow cycle, which could be, usually within the next day. So a car rarely stays over, except for weekends, rarely stays over 48 hours.
And my question is, if they don't have the ability to pay, can they enter into a payment plan and get their car back?
If they reach out to the parking authority, we refer them to Corporation Counsel, and it's up to Corporation Counsel's office to approve a payment plan. They're the ones that do it. But
Okay.
we do have payment plans on a limited basis.
Thank you.
Councilman Deutsch?
So thank you. A logical question in response to that is how rapidly could that occur if they're in a situation like Councilwoman Jennings described, can't get to work, can't get the child to school or something? Could that occur on someone say so within, let's say, 24 hours?
Yes, it usually happens within 24 hours. It's an emergency boot hearing, just like an emergency tow hearing, and they can request it through City Hall or through corporate. They either comes to us or it comes through Corporation Counsel's office, and Corporation Counsel hears it and they make the decision.
And through you, is there any provision in all of this for some kind of a warning notice? Like, let's say someone is about to has two before getting booted. In other words, some kind of a flag warning. You're sub next time.
Each issuance or each citation that we hand out, each person gets 3 warnings. It's the initial citation itself, and then there's the first late penalty, the second late penalty. On each one of those warnings, for each citation, it says 5 or more citations subject to vehicle immobilization. And so if you have 5 citations, you've received 15 warnings with that notice on it, and it's a very clearly marked warning.
Continue with the presentation.
Okay. Getting to our FY 15-16 budget. One of the things before we start, I would like to highlight the operational impacts to our annual budget that were not incurred last year that we're incurring this year. There's a lot of construction in the city, and that's a good thing for the city. Temporarily, it's a bad thing for the parking authority. That if you account for our total construction impact, it is approximately $380,000 for this year alone. Some of that we will recoup. There's dates on your presentations that say when the things will be brought back online. However, some of it is permanent. So there will be a permanent deficit as compared to this current fiscal year. Other items that have affected us recently are I can contest to DPW's efforts with snow removal and with street sweeping. That has reduced our citation revenues by about $100,000. It's a good thing for the city. Again, not great for our revenues, but the city's going in the right direction. The city's more effective noticing on snow bans and more lenient, I guess, closing of these school parking lots has greatly reduced our snow ban citations. And that in concert with the lack of snowfall between November and January this year, we had a $210,000 reduction in revenue from last year. There have been various other impacts that we could go through. Another item I'd like to discuss is the amount of services we provide with no fee assessed. These are things that we do, costs we incur, but we do not expect revenue in return as just the nature of our being. The big one is roughly $500,000 for free nights and weekends. A lot of West Hartford, New Haven have started charging for nights and weekends. We still have not. By conservative estimates, that costs the city about $500,000 a year. Various community support things that we do when parades come through, when different entities want to do different things, reserve spaces, we accommodate. That's about $170,000 a year. Employee parking is $300,000 a year. Various support services, mainly in-kind services, is about $30,000, and free on-street handicap parking. The city's ordinance, or the city's not ordinance, the city's practice is more lenient than state statutes. And there's also rampant abuse of the handicap placards. However, the parking authority realizes there are, real people with real handicap limitations that we do not want to negatively impact. So one of our initiatives this year going forward is to reach out to the disabled community and to work with them to find ways to reduce abuses while still addressing the needs of the handicapped community. We went through, and one thing that we did, if you look at last year versus this year, if you look in the budget book, there is some pretty significant shifts in where money is deposited. We were carrying a lot of direct support in our overhead function, our sales, general and administrative functions, including security and direct labor efforts. We've redistributed those to the proper business units to properly reflect the net revenues of each business unit. So you'll see that our overhead function has decreased by $1 million. However, our net operational incomes from various business units has also gone down. Due to the sale of the Church Street Garage, as well as to the construction impacts, our operating income next year will be $1.56 million. With the council-approved initiatives I just went through, we can increase that by another $590,000 for a total of roughly $2.1 million. As you can see, we've had a lot of changes over the past couple of years, and we do forecast out that we'll be able to maintain a 10% year-on-year growth. So by the end of fiscal year 18-19, we conservatively project that we'll catch up to where we are today, We think that's definitely doable. If not, we believe we could possibly do better. This year, if you look at the $560,000, excuse me, $590,000, and you apply it to this year's operating income, next year, all things being equal, we would have grown by 20%. So we believe 10% is definitely doable. Any questions?
Mac, the garage sale.
Church Street Garage?
Garage sale.
Okay.
Is that going through? I know there was potentially a proposal from you all to potentially mortgage that property, but I'm assuming that that's off the table at this particular point? I'm asking.
Yes, last Friday, the CRDA submitted for the Bond Council Commission agenda the sale of the Church Street Garage on Monday. The agenda was released. The sale is number 2 on the State Bond Commission's agenda. That meeting is this coming Monday at 10:30 a.m., May 11th.
All right, so by council meeting Monday, we'll know one way or the other whether the garage has been sold or not.
Regarding the state's acquisition of the garage, yes.
But that's-
Also, last Friday, we released a request for proposal via the city's e-procurement system seeking private interest in purchasing or entering into a concession agreement for the Church Street Garage. Those proposals are due back next Friday, May 15th.
Question, do we have any contractual obligation to the state?
Yes, we've signed a purchase and sale agreement with the state that includes language requiring that the Bond Commission approve by the end of May. If not, the purchase and sale agreement terminates.
It's by the end of May. If the agreement is not approved the sale by the end of May, then there is no longer a purchase and sale agreement.
If the State Bond Commission does not approve the purchase of the Church Street Garage by the end of May, the purchase and sale agreement terminates.
And is the RFP our only option that you've presented?
No.
Well, can we have I mean, I don't want to do this here because it's really late, and obviously I probably look like I've been run over by a truck. We would be interested in whatever options have been presented and what you consider Plan A, B, and C going forward, because obviously if we're about to pass a budget and we have no idea what the state's going to do one way or another, I think at some point we need to kind of get an idea of what we feel our options are.
Mr. Chairman, Council, I believe that we will be able to fulfill the fiscal 2015 budget, including the $14.4 million for the sale of the Church Street Garage by June 30th of this year.
All right. I'll leave it at that. Anyone else have any other questions? I see Councilman Anderson has jokes. Again, thank you so much for changing your schedule. I know you waited here almost all evening for what was an unexpectedly long hearing day. Did not expect it to take this long, and I want to thank you for staying and being patient with us as we work through the budget hearing process. Okay, it was greatly appreciated.
It was our pleasure, Councilman.
Thank you. We are adjourned till Tuesday next week.